Welcome back, everyone. Spring and summer is a time for new growth and taking bold action together. So we hope these stories can inspire you to live boldly, take wise chances, and with our friends and family, make a difference together. Today we will be reading A Journey to the Center of the Earth by Jules Verne, retold by Billy Aronson. So as we lean in with the spirit of adventure, grab a friend, like Jade here, and let's enjoy the story together. Chapter 17, What or Who? To help you understand why Axel and his uncle were so excited by the discovery, you need to know what kind of scientific discoveries were really taking place back then, and talks about it now. Only a few years before we began our journey, a French scientist named M. Boucher de Précis dug up a strange jawbone. Since it was a cross between a human jawbone and a monkey's, Perth is believed it belonged to an ancient human. Soon, scientists across Europe began digging up bones of similar creatures along with primitive tools. Many scientists agreed that these remains were evidence of prehistoric humans who lived hundreds of thousands of years ago in the days of the mastodon and mammoth. This new theory was bold and shocking. Till this time, it had been widely believed that the human race was only a few thousand years old. Many scientists doubted this new theory. They felt that the strange bones belonged to peculiar humans who lived only a few centuries ago. Still, other scientists felt the whole thing was a prank and that the bones might have been those of orangutans or the tools could be children's toys. But the human head my uncle had come upon could not be argued with. He hadn't found just a couple of odd bones. This was an entire head, teeth, hair, skin, that seems to have been preserved by the strange soil on this coast. Though the head looked somewhat monkey-like, it was not a monkey, it was human. This grisly creature was none of us. In Verne's day, scientists were very excited about the new theory that explained where human beings came from, the theory of evolution. According to this theory, human beings didn't just appear on Earth all of a sudden. Instead, over hundreds of millions of years, they evolved or changed gradually from the kinds of animals that resembled monkeys. Since the head that Lindenbrock finds there is a human that resembles a monkey, it seems to support the theory of evolution. I'd never seen my uncle stay quiet for so long. For a while, we just stood there, gazing at this head that seemed to stare back at us with its hollow eyes. Gross. After minutes of silence, my uncle sprang to life. Lost in joyous fantasy, he began to lecture as though addressing his peers. Fellow scientists, he began, I have the honor to present to you an ancient human being. I know that there are imposters around today boasting that they have discovered giants or dragons or characters from ancient myths. I realize that my claim may sound just as incredible as theirs, but my situation is different from theirs in one crucial way. I have proof. Feast your eyes upon your ancestor. This is the body you can see, you can touch it. It is not a skeleton, it's complete. My uncle raised the head to reveal the entire body, which he displayed to his imaginary audience. With the energy of a true showman, he continued his lecture. As you can see, it stands at about 6 feet tall, an average height for a human male. The skull is much like ours, with the same sort of cheekbones. The jaw sticks out at the same sort of angle as ours. The forehead does bulge slightly, but not nearly as much as in apes. There can be no question, he is our relative. I believe, he can continue, that in the age which frequent earthquakes shook the globe, the man fell deep into the earth and was preserved. And how fortunate for us that he was! For thanks to that disaster, we have before us a human being over 100,000 years old. When he finished his lecture, I burst into applause. Drawn by a burning curiosity, we continued to explore the bone graveyard. Every step of the way, I expected to find some new amazing discovery. We found other bodies, many of them in better condition than the first. My uncle could hardly choose which to bring back. As we searched, I began to wonder, had these ancient humans fallen to the earth and died, or could they have lived their lives married and had children and died down here, just like those who lived above? If ancient humans had lived down here, could they have been living still? So far, we'd seen only sea creatures alive below the surface of the earth, but how did we know that there might not also be ancient humans wandering these shores? And if there were, how would they respond to their visitors from above? For more than an hour, we would march onward across the thick bed. You can take a nap, Jane. Of bones. The central sea was no longer in sight, but my uncle was so excited that he had no worry of getting lost. Eventually, we passed beyond the bones and found ourselves in a kind of tropical paradise. Here there were no clouds of flashing vapor in the sky, but electrical fluid seemed to be everywhere, making the entire region glow. We came to a forest. To our surprise, it wasn't the mushroom forest we'd found near Port Gretchen. It was a wild and glorious wonderland. Towering palms and thick masses of creeping plants covered a beautiful carpet of moss. Though they looked like plants I'd seen on Earth's surface, there was one striking difference. None of them were green. They were dull yellow-brown like old paper. As I looked ahead, though through a clearing in the forest, I really did see, moving along the trees, immense creatures. Mastodons, not fossils, but living prehistoric mammals. Those enormous elephants bellowed as they uprooted huge trees with their tusks. The daydream I'd have seeing extinct animals, was coming true. My uncle and I were shocked and amazed. Come, he said at last, let's get a closer look. No, I answered, pulling away when he took me by the arm. We don't have a single weapon. What could we do in the middle of a herd of mastodons? Please, uncle. No human can survive among those powerful monsters. No human? Said my uncle, suddenly whispering. You're wrong, my boy. Look, over there. Unless I'm mistaken, I see a human being just like us. He was right. No more than a quarter mile away, leaning against the trunk of an enormous tree, was a human being watching over his herd of mastodons. This is no fossil. This is a living human giant. He was 12 feet tall. His head, as big as the head of a buffalo, was covered with a mane of matted hair. In his hand, he held a stout branch that he used to guide his herd. My uncle and I stood perfectly still. At any moment, this giant might look over and see us as clearly as we're seeing him. Let's get out of here, I cried to my uncle. For once, he didn't disagree. We turned and ran as fast as our legs could carry us. 15 minutes later, we paused to catch our breath, far from the towering shepherd. Now that I think back on it, I don't know what to believe. Maybe what we really saw was a tall, slender ape or an ancient monkey above a shadowy stump, but a human being 12 feet tall living down below the earth? Whatever my eyes told me I saw, that image is simply too outrageous to be believed. And what did Axel really see? It's all part of the mystery of Jules Verne's story. We might not know for sure what it was, but it's fun to imagine what it might have been. But wait, there's more to come. That does it for chapter 17. We'll see you next time for chapter 18.